The KXAN News Podcast is sponsored by Shelf Genie.
Called 911, said, hey, we got to shut down this bridge. Next thing I know, there's like a huge pileup behind me, just crash after crash after crash, one after the other.
Overpasses and flyovers iced over. Many major roads closed after serious and even deadly crashes, when road conditions are expected to get even worse.
And video just in of conditions further north. Ice is coating roads in the Dallas area. We'll show you how bad it is in other parts of Texas. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jennifer Sanders in for Britt Marino.
And I'm Daniel Marin. Don't let your guard down just yet. The worst icing is yet to come.
And roads will only become more dangerous, and the risk of losing power is going up as well. Just into our newsroom, HEB says Austin area stores are all closing at 6 o'clock tonight. They won't reopen until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Chief Meteorologist David Yeomans is walking us through what is ahead tonight and into tomorrow morning. And David, you said it's not looking good.
I think everybody is going to have trouble getting anywhere tomorrow morning, even at 8 a.m. A winter storm warning is in effect for all 15 of our central Texas counties for the first time in 2 years since the February 2021 winter storm. This time, though, it's not a half a foot of snow. It's even worse to drive on. 3/4 of an inch of ice in some areas. Again, this continues for about 36 hours longer. Now, the good news this evening is we've seen a little respite. This little piece of energy in the atmosphere is moving northeast of us with some freezing rain falling from Burnett northward up 281. The metro area pretty much dry, aside from some brief, very light freezing drizzle. We don't need more, though. As they mentioned, we have had car accidents. We have had closed roadways at times. Each one of these either a roadway impact or an icing report, numerous in the past 24 hours, especially here in Travis County. And boy, northwest of Travis County, it has been even colder. 28 degrees with ice all over the trees and power lines in Liberty Hill. Ice, about a half inch of it can weigh 500 pounds on a power line. That can make the lines touch. It can bring a line down. It can bring a tree onto a line. This is why we're more concerned with power outages as things pick up tonight. The current temperatures, we just dropped another 2 degrees in the last 2 hours in Austin. We've been below freezing for 32 hours straight. 30 degrees in town, at or just above freezing southeastward. But again, the big roadway problems are where it's in the upper 20s, places like Georgetown and the Hill Country. Coming up in your forecast, the worst is still coming. I'll show you an hour-by-hour look of when the roads should be paralyzed in the Austin area and when temperatures will finally warm.
All right, David, thank you very much. And a Travis County deputy is hospitalized after he responded to a crash and got hit and pinned under an 18-wheeler.
And here's where it happened on SH 130 northbound near Pierce Lane just before 9 o'clock. That deputy was trying to help the driver of an 18-wheeler that had gone off the road when another 18-wheeler slid on the icy road. He was pinned under one of the tractor tires for about 45 minutes before crews were able to free him. Doctors operated on that deputy and he is expected to survive. It's one of the reasons Austin Fire says if you get in an accident, stay in your car until first responders arrive. And we're getting a peek now behind closed doors at Austin Travis County's Emergency Operations Center today.
They're monitoring everything from the roads to power outages to keep vulnerable populations warm. KXAN's Grace Reeder got to see the Operations Center today.
And first, she joins us live now from the meeting point for people who need shelter tonight. So Grace, tell us what you see right now.
We're at the One Texas Center. Dozens of people have already lined up here, even though the window to sign up is 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock tonight, so kicks off in just about an hour. People will be transported from this location to those overnight shelters with Cap Metro buses. Oh, this is just one tiny piece of the puzzle for Austin and Travis County staff tonight. That's why they're using their Emergency Operations Center to coordinate all of this. We got a look at the Emergency Operations Center today. Tucked into a building in East Travis County, these folks from the city and county are working on things like potential power outages. They're looking at any potential water issues, and they're looking at roads as well again today. That last item is what Travis County Judge Andy Brown tells me they have been most worried about today is road conditions.
As far as general operations, there are no major powder outages that we've seen. Water is working. The sand and the treatment vehicles for the roads are out working. So as far as that, from an operations perspective, things seem to be going pretty well. But I just can't emphasize enough the danger out there, even though it might not look that bad.
I also talked to Judge Brown about some of the improvements that the county has made since that deadly winter storm in February of 2021. I'm going to have that for you coming up tonight on KXAN News at 6. Back to y'all.
All right, Grace Reeder, thanks so much. The roads in North Texas are a real mess right now. Standing trucks are running in McKinney and snow plows are running in Collin and Denton counties. It's very rare for them to deploy snow plows, but a lot of ice accumulating on highways and 18-wheelers stuck for hours forced the city's hand.
And here is a nice aerial view of the icy roads in Garland, just northeast of Dallas. It actually gets worse the further north you go. Scenes like this have many hoping the power stays on. And Governor Greg Abbott says the power grid is holding steady, but you're going to want to have all your devices powered up anyway, because as David mentioned, the ice can bring down power lines locally.
And KXAN's Ryan Chandler was at the governor's briefing today where he laid out the state's emergency response to this winter storm.
Here at the Texas Capitol, the grounds are iced over as yet another Texas cold snap stalls out most of the state. Inside, the legislative work has mostly paused as officials shift to emergency management, urging Texans to stay home until the sun hopefully shines on Friday. From Austin to Abilene, Waco, and Lubbock, slick roads leave millions of Texans stuck and multiple dead.
If you do not need to be out on the roads, don't be out there.
As the ground ices over, officials deep underground in the State Operations Center work overtime. The winter warnings extending through at least Thursday.
The conditions right now are dangerous and they are likely to get worse.
As of Tuesday afternoon, more than 1,600 roads are iced over and at least 24,000 Texans are enduring local power outages. But ERCOT projects 10,000 megawatts of reserve power ready through the week, assuring again the grid is fine.
And there is not anticipated to be any challenge to the power grid in the state of Texas.
You should make every excuse to stay home tomorrow, but if you do absolutely need to leave, you can check your local road conditions at drivetexas.org. And if you or anybody you know needs shelter, the state has 60 warming shelters spread around the state. You can find the one closest to you at tdem.texas.gov/warm. In Austin, I'm Ryan Chandler. Back to you.
All right, thanks to Ryan for that. We've got a growing number of school closures for tomorrow, and it includes Austin, Eanes, and Lake Travis ISDs. And just in, UT Austin classes also canceled for tomorrow. You'll find our running list of closures over at KXAN.com.
And don't leave for the airport without double checking with your airline. More than 280 flights in and out of AUS are already canceled today. Another 68 are delayed. Now, the airport tells us many of the issues are due to weather disruptions at other airports.
Cap Metro is suspending all non-emergency services, so the buses, Metro Rail, and pickup services. It's going to happen in just a couple of hours. The buses are going to start their final trips at 7 p.m. with the goal of having all of their staff off the road by 9 p.m. They're also going to be shut down all day tomorrow. Cap Metro says this weather could result in dangerous, life-threatening road conditions.
The warnings were out this morning. Don't drive if you don't have to. And we saw what happened when people did. Just ahead, some lessons learned from this morning's drive.
And tonight's midnight deadline to pay your property taxes is still in place. Just ahead, your options to avoid penalties and interest charges.
And it's something to do when you are iced in. See how your photos and videos can really help us tomorrow. Our winter weather may have closed the Travis County tax office locations, but property taxes are still due by midnight. So here are some of your options. You can place a check or money order in the drop box at any tax office location. You can pay online with an e-check for $1, and any online payments posted after midnight will receive penalty and interest charges. So if you can't pay online, you will be permitted to pay at the tax office on the first day it opens for business after weather closures without incurring those penalty or interest charges.
Using past storms as our guide, iced over roads in other parts of the state are likely to impact groceries and gasoline. And gas prices have already been creeping higher. The average in Austin, the Austin-San Marcos area, is up to $3.15 a gallon. That is up 10 cents in the last week and 35 cents in the last month. AAA says increased demand and higher global oil prices are behind the rising cost. ExxonMobil posted a $56 billion profit for 2022, and that's a new record for ExxonMobil and the Western oil industry. The oil giant said it also incurred a $1.3 billion hit to its fourth quarter earnings from a European Union windfall tax. Now, the company is suing the EU, arguing that the levy exceeds the union's legal authority.
You've heard it from us and first responders. Don't drive. And just ahead, hear from some drivers who were on the roads this morning.
And temperatures never warmed above freezing in downtown Austin. High temperatures 32 degrees, more than 30 degrees colder than normal. And most of this falling as ice, 0.06 of an inch of mainly freezing rain so far. When this gets much worse overnight, coming up.
This KXAN News podcast is brought to you by Shelf Genie. I'm Rosie Newberry from KXAN Studio 512. Considering replacing your kitchen cabinets? Struggling to find or reach things? Go to shelfgenie.com/Austin. Shelf Genie designs custom pull-out shelves for your existing cabinets, adding convenience and value to the most used room in your home. Shelf Genie custom pull-out shelves, everything in reach.
First responders are begging people to stay off the roads unless you absolutely have to. And that gray area is where this next story begins.
A woman was taking a friend for her cancer treatment this morning, and her vehicle started spinning out, and so did other vehicles. KXAN's Nabil Rabadna is live for us near West Slaughter Lane and Menchaca Road. Nabil.
That's right. This is the ice we're used to seeing around town, hanging from rooftops, hanging from signs, but it's that ice on the road that's hard to see, that black ice, and that's causing a lot of problems for a lot of motorists around Central Texas. As winter weather moved into Central Texas, the warnings went out.
It's only going to get worse through the day.
By Tuesday morning, cars were slipping and sliding.
Oh my God, the tow truck just hit the tow truck just spun out.
Mary Stone taking her friend for cancer treatment. She got stuck on SH 45 near Buda.
And then we hit the bridge and it's just pure ice. And I was going slow, so we just spun around and slowly kind of slid into this barrier.
Over on West Slaughter Lane and Menchaca, Roseanne Combs braved the roads to try to get to work.
So I just went over the bridge right over from my house, and the next thing I knew, I was on some ice and my car was starting to spin.
Combs was able to get her car off the road, but Morgan McCann got stuck after hitting the ice.
I started sliding, and next thing you know, I spun around 6 or 7 times.
Her car stopping just in time.
I'm off the bridge onto the curb. If it wasn't for that curb, I'd be completely off the bridge. Next thing I know, there's like a huge pileup behind me, just crash after crash after crash.
Many of the accidents on Tuesday taking place on overpasses, on-ramps, or off-ramps, which freeze much quicker.
I was waiting for about maybe 20-30 minutes before just a fire truck happened to be going by.
The best advice coming from those who experienced these bad conditions.
The advisories are there for a reason.
It's supposed to get worse, so stay home if you can.
Now we're seeing a lot of these wet conditions that you're taking a look now, these puddles that haven't frozen over. And as we get into the evening here, those puddles could start to freeze, causing some major problems for motorists. As mentioned, this bridge here behind us on West Slaughter Lane, a number of cars were littering the roadway here behind me this afternoon. Again, they were able to get those cars removed, but those freezing temperatures that we could be facing once again, well, again, be very wary of those conditions and stay in. We can't stress it enough. Stay in if you have to. Back to you.
All right, Nabil, thank you very much. And David, as we were saying, even those roads that seemed okay today could be a totally different story in a few hours.
Yeah, even if you've gotten by, no sweat in your neighborhood today, it's going to be much, much worse area-wide overnight and tomorrow morning. Let me show you what the elevated objects look like. Maybe not the roads widespread iced on the surface roadways, but boy, the Austonian weather cam has been encased like this for more than 24 hours. Wind chills are brutal. It feels like 22 on your exposed face in downtown Austin. Wind chills are in the teens, even as cold as 16 in Mason County. Now, the radar is taking a little breather for now. We've got some pink and purple colors showing freezing rain and sleet in parts of the hill country, but nothing going on right now in the Austin metro. With that said, the 281 corridor, especially from Burnett northward, really dangerous conditions, only getting worse as we speak. Temperatures in those areas cold enough for more widespread icing. 27 in Burnett, 26 in Lampasas. It's 30 degrees in Marble Falls. You head down 183 here from our northwestern counties. We do have some upper 20s. This is what closed the 183A flyovers in Leander and Cedar Park this morning. But temperatures downtown, they've been 30, 32 all day. That is cold enough for some slick spots on the elevated bridges and overpasses, but just not yet cold enough for the widespread icing that we've seen in some areas east of 35. That's the case here as well. Near freezing, just above freezing. I'm not anticipating any problems right now in places like Flatonia, but that too may change overnight. This is a classic Texas ice storm. We've got an Arctic air mass, a cold front stalled out, stationary to our south, widespread freezing rain and sleet across much of the state. When we say overrunning, here's what we mean. Take a cross section of that cold front. By the time it gets to Texas, the cold air is very, very shallow and very heavy. That warm, moist air is driven up over that, and that's what condenses into clouds, precipitation, and indeed ice like we're seeing right now. You can actually see a really good illustration of all that moisture coming up over the cold air on our water vapor satellite. There's the low pressure, which is still to our west, and that means we are not done with this thing yet. A few little wrinkles in this upper level moisture. These are pieces of energy in the atmosphere, and another one arrives overnight tonight. Things don't get much worse for the next several hours. Notice clouds are widespread, but the freezing rain and drizzle very isolated, even through midnight or so tonight. Later tonight, though, look at this. Another piece of energy arrives, picking up the light mist and drizzle. And look at this. Freezing rain is heavier, and it's totally widespread by tomorrow morning. What you're seeing here is the possibility of thunderstorms. So this would be either thunder sleet or thunder freezing rain, which I've never actually heard of before. Either way, it's going to be an absolute mess across our 15 counties during the typical morning rush hour tomorrow. Now, tomorrow afternoon, the temperatures may warm slightly. That could mean a transition back to liquid rain from Austin southeastward. That's where you see the green color here through tomorrow evening. Now, another little batch of precipitation arrives Wednesday night into Thursday morning. But notice the rain line moves northwestward. This means temperatures are starting to warm. By Thursday morning, the winter storm warning has expired, and Thursday midday, the storm moves entirely to our east. Look how much ice may accumulate overnight. Not much going on until midnight, but boom, by tomorrow morning, we've got 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice in some areas. This will keep stacking up in some areas through midday tomorrow, and a little bit more possible tomorrow night, mainly in the hill country northwest of Austin. By the way, you've got to join us at 10 p.m. tonight. I will get a brand new model run, which will give us an even better idea of how this plays out. I told you about the temperatures. Let me get to one uncertainty that's in the forecast. This is kind of interesting, and it could mean a little less ice overnight. I told you the cold air is very shallow. There's warm air above it. Matter of fact, about a mile above our heads, it's 50 degrees right now, while it's 30 degrees at the surface. Last year during an ice storm, we saw rain falling hard enough to actually pull some of that warm air down and warm surface temperatures slightly. That may be a saving grace for some of us, but as it looks right now, we are still expecting pretty widespread icing. Just something that we're watching. Okay, tonight, look at this, 29. That's cold enough for more widespread problems as the freezing rain picks up. Tomorrow, a guarantee of freezing rain, especially early. Highs in Austin again below freezing at 31. After one more freezing cold night tomorrow night, the temperatures warm into the 40s. No icing problems by Thursday afternoon. And then some welcome sunshine and 60s for your weekend plans.
With the worst still ahead of us, how you can help tell the story of this winter storm, the role your photos and your videos play, and the help we are requesting from you tomorrow. Well, we've had our crews all over Central Texas for this storm, but our coverage would not be the same without your help.
Here are some of the photos from our team and from you as we all get through this together.
When Mother Nature catches a cold in Central Texas, she often leaves us reminders of her might and its hazards. This vehicle taped off and left on the side of SH 130. This line in Austin filled with those looking for warmth and refuge. But Mother Nature can also leave beauty in her wake, like this view in South Llano County, these glistening branches in Dripping Springs, this frozen fountain near the Buchanan Dam, and for this pup, a winterscape for a little exercise.
And keep those photos and videos coming. You can send them to reportit@KXAN.com or scan the QR code right there on your screen. Just please stay safe while snapping those pictures. And then once you do send, keep an eye out for an email. We're going to need you to check back with us about using your submission.
Thanks for listening to KXAN News Nightly. You can also listen to KXAN News Today every morning for more in-depth coverage of what matters most to you.